What's going on, everybody? It's Jeff Iafrate from Crunch Time here to discuss a potential blockbuster trade that Fox Sports' own Nick Wright proposed in his latest mock draft. He did one last week, and when I've tuned in, I thought, what player would he select? Little did I know he'd be trading that pick away for wide receiver Tee Higgins. Yes, Tee Higgins, a player that a lot of Lions fans, I shouldn't say a lot, but a good amount of Lions fans have talked about being a potential trade target. And I'm with you guys. When I see videos talking about Tee Higgins, I just don't click on them. This is why it won't work. That's the angle I'm going to take today. Why it doesn't make sense for the Detroit Lions. Even though Nick Wright came out, he put out his proposed idea. It was reported. I saw it being posted around some sports websites that do cover this kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, man, I got to make a video on why this doesn't make any sense. So if there is a selection of people that tune into our content that do believe this is a real possibility, have a seat, get comfortable. Let's dive into it. Okay. So here's why it doesn't make sense. Tee Higgins looking to get an extension, looking to be one of the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. Obviously, the Bengals have to pay Jamar Chase. They're paying Joe Burrow. Now, they gotta build up their offensive line. They got to keep some players on defense. They're not going to be able to afford Tee Higgins. Obviously, they can't even really afford Tyler Boyd, who just left out the door. And there's a possibility that they could keep him. They franchise tagged him, so assuming they trade him, should the Lions be interested? No, absolutely not. You saw Devonta Smith get extended today. He got about $25 million per year. Now, I don't know the specifics of the contract, but I believe it was a 3-year extension for $75 million. Amon-Ra St. Brown is due for an extension. Jared Goff, due for an extension. They haven't agreed to terms with those two players. But they have to pay their own. They have to pay their own a lot. They got to pay Jared Goff $45 to $50 million. They got to pay St. Brown close to $30 million, maybe 25-ish. So does this make sense for the Lions? No, it doesn't. You would much rather, Brad Holmes would much rather select a wide receiver at 29, have him on a rookie deal. I mean, guys, this is the deepest wide receiver class in the last handful of years. Like, Tee Higgins is great, but Tee Higgins was also a second-round pick, which, Tee Higgins just doesn't grow on trees. But my point being is when you have a general manager like Brad Holmes who can identify talent, number one, but number two, he's pretty good at picking wide receivers. Small sample size, but you look at the weapons he's drafted, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, to be determined. We have high hopes for him. Antoine Green, who we really don't know anything yet, and he's a 7th-round pick. But Brad Holmes can scout. He can identify talent. So, when you look at these, big splash trades for it's not like I'm against big splash trades, like big-time trades. Like, I'm cool. I'll listen to it. If the Lions are going to make any big trade, it's going to be on defense. I mean, the Tee Higgins thing doesn't make sense as it is, considering what I just said. Jared Goff and Amon-Ra still need to be extended. You have players that are going to come up in the future that need to be extended. But let's just take that out of it. This defense, if you can get this defense to a top 10, top 12 unit, you have a legitimate Super Bowl contender. What's adding another weapon, especially to that price tag, for that price tag? If you're going to add a weapon, do it in the draft. Draft a wide receiver. I don't prefer it's in the first round, but if it is, there's that option. You can draft one in the second. You could draft one in the third. You can get a Jalen Polk in the second or third. You can get a Brendan Rice in the second or third. Keon Coleman in the second. There's Xavier Legette in the second. There's so many weapons that are coming out of this draft, so many wide receivers that are going to be good players. And I would much rather select one of those guys and put the money, any money. If you're giving Tee Higgins that much money, allocate it to the defense. Like you need some more. You need some more pass rush help. You need some more secondary help. So this Tee Higgins stuff just doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know why it was ever an idea. And trust me, this isn't just Nick Wright saying it. I've seen Lions fans talk about it. And I get the 49ers, they have Debo, they have Ayuk, who could be leaving soon. They have George Kittle, the Eagles, they have A.J. Brown, they have Devonta Smith. All these teams have duos. They have 2 wide receivers at least. I understand that. But you also got to understand that if you're Brad Holmes, right, and you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have Jameson Williams, those are your 2 you believe in. You have Sam Laporta. Count him as a weapon. He's a tight end, but he's basically a wide receiver. Those are 3 guys in your passing game that, especially one being Jameson, that you expect to have a breakout year. Like, you don't need a Tee Higgins. That's not something that you just go out and say, go get a Tee Higgins. That'll put us over the top. You know what will put you over the top? A premier pass rusher or a premier corner. And you can find those guys in the draft as well, trading up in the first round and getting someone. So absolutely not. No, you're not trading away draft capital, especially a first-round pick for someone that you have to pay as well. If he was going to do that, it would have been for L'Jarius Sneed. Like, let's get that straight, too. This team needs a L'Jarius Sneed more than it does a Tee Higgins. And they passed on L'Jarius Sneed. So why would they ever go for a Tee Higgins? This wide receiver class, guys, there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be available for the Lions, and they can get significantly better than Josh Reynolds. Like, I'll just say it. I'll plant my flag. There's a lot of wide receivers. The more I've watched, the more I've tried to study, they intrigue me. I mean, even though, again, I'm against one in the first round, I can be talked into it. Not that I don't think it's a primary need for this team. You can convince me with the talent coming out. Like, you just can't. Overall, no. Hell no. This doesn't make any sense. The next time the Lions make a trade, in my opinion, giving up any draft capital will either be trading up in the draft or the trade deadline this year. Those are the only two times that Brad Holmes is going to fork over draft capital. Again, to trade up or to trade at the deadline. He's not trading for Tee Higgins. He's not trading for, any big-time player that's going to need an extension. That time has passed. Players have already been dealt. So it's pointless. Is it wasting breath talking about this? Probably. But this video for me was more just to see where you guys are at with this. Does a Tee Higgins put you over the top? Is it a must? That's what it comes down to. And I would argue it isn't. So go get a premier edge rusher. Go get a premier corner. I think they could do that in this year's draft. If you guys could do me a favor, turn on the notification bell, support the channel, support the fellas, and tune into our live show every day, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. You can catch us live. On top of that, content's posted all throughout the weekend, every day. So that's our number one priority. And don't forget, draft parties next Thursday. Former Lions players, former Red Wings players. It's all going to charity at the end of the day. We're promoting this for charity. It's going to the Michigan Children's Hospital. And, of course, we're on a rooftop at Bookies. So please get your ticket. Link in the description. Come hang out with us. Watch the first round of the NFL draft. If you can't, we'll be live. So tune into the show. Until next time, I'll catch you guys.